Hello, my juniors and seniors. Welcome back to another week of virtual learning, especially as we prep for hybrid learning back in person in a few weeks here. I'm getting so excited for that. I hope you guys had a restful Labor Day weekend, a time to recharge after the first 2 weeks of virtual learning, a chance to maybe catch up on some things that were difficult for you before. Let's pray, and then we'll get into our day 6 lesson here. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you so much for the opportunity you've given me this year to work with upperclassmen. I know that I haven't been able to do that every year, and it's a blessing being able to teach kids again, to teach people that I had as freshmen, to get a look into the world of older teenagers as opposed to freshmen and sophomores. I pray, God, that you are just continuing to use these juniors and seniors to shape my life, and that you can use me to shape theirs as well. Please be with our minds and hearts as we move into this week of learning. Maybe some of us are excited, maybe some of us aren't. But we pray, God, that you're using our college application essays this week and next week as a chance to shape our futures too, and follow the path that you've laid out for us. We love you, Jesus. We pray this all in your name. Amen. Day 6, do first. And you'll notice this one is not a journal entry. I have a different Schoology discussion for you to start writing today, so I didn't want to give you two in the same day and overburden you that way. So for this one, you just have to read through our agenda. Let's look at it. Just like our last lesson. So the objective today, there's only one. It should say objective, not objectives. My bad. Students will be able to pre-write for short essay assignments. So as a reminder, the writing process is 4 steps. It's pre-writing, drafting, editing, publishing. And in the rest of our class, we have 4 major essay assignments. The college application essay, our research paper, our analysis paper, and our final project, which is a resume and cover letter. Each of those lines up with each stage of the writing process. So the big focus with our college application essay is going to be pre-writing. That's what this week is for. So right now, you're watching through the college application essay overview. In a moment, we're gonna walk through the prompt of this essay pretty slowly to make sure that we cover all the details for it. After that, I do have an assignment for you guys to complete by midnight on Friday. I'm going to give you this week to think through your plan for the college application essay and give me a chance to give you some feedback on that as well. In our next lesson, we're going to cover commas, so we're going to keep moving on with grammar and move on to something new. We'll learn all the rules, all the major rules for commas, and practice correcting comma mistakes. And we'll also use the remaining time to wrap up your pre-writing. Let's get it. So you're watching the video right now. For your convenience, I've attached essay prompts right here, so I'm just going to click View. Alright, so college application essay prompts. Notice that is prompts with an S on it. I wanted to give lots of options on how you can tackle this essay in particular. Really depends on where you're applying for college, or if you're a senior who has already been accepted into college, or let's say all of your colleges are no essay and you're looking for scholarships, you could write a scholarship essay instead. We'll get there in a moment. The college application essay is an interesting one. For most prompts, it is a mix between a narrative, so a storytelling, and a creative expository essay, an explanation essay. So you've got some freedom on how you structure and what you say, so to speak, and a college application essay. In any case, you have a very short amount of space, so 300 words is the smallest I've seen. Up to 650 is the maximum for a lot of prompts. Is kind of the standard for word count, to make a strong impression on the school of your choice. When admissions counselors and advisors, real actual people read these things, read your essay, they'll want to be impressed by who you are, so your character, as well as by how you write, your academic skills. For your writing workshop essay, you can select any of the prompts below. I've put up a bunch, so we'll walk through those slowly. The ones I've included are the common application prompts for 2020, 2021. So a lot of schools use the common application, and they've got 7 prompts. I cut the last one out because it's too open for this particular project. But there are 6 prompt questions for that one. The UW school prompts for 2020, 2021. Every school in the University of Wisconsin system uses the same prompt, but I know Madison has a separate question that they use as well. I think Eau Claire does, but we'll check that in a moment too. and prompts for a couple of area private schools, especially Marquette. I would put CUW there as well, but CUW is no essay. So for those of you thinking of applying to Marquette, I've included their prompt too. If you are planning to apply to a different school entirely, you may write the name of that school and its essay prompt in the space at the bottom of this document. I should also add there, if you're planning on applying for a scholarship instead, you may put the scholarship question or the scholarship essay question in there as well. That just gives me some guidance on knowing how I can help you with this essay. And I just forgot that since we're not in person, you don't need to write it down there. You'll need to write it in your discussion, which is coming at the end of this lesson. Some formatting stuff, just like our last essay. Please include an MLA heading and title on your essay. I know most college essays don't require this, but I just for the purposes of this class do that as practice, please. And use standard font. 12-point Times New Roman's my favorite. Double space your essay, which helps out with me giving feedback on it once it's time for me to grade. This assignment is due in Schoology through turnitin.com, like we practiced already. I know I'm still working with a lot of you on getting that step done. By midnight on Tuesday the 22nd. I originally had this slotted for Friday the 18th, but with the news that we get to actually go back to school on that day, Tuesday the 22nd is what we're gonna aim for there. I might even bump that to the 23rd because I just realized that gives me a chance to talk to second hour as well. So let's talk prompts here. The first ones that we should walk through together are the common application essay prompts. On the common application, they're looking for a writing range between 250 and 650 words. A little pro tip, 250 is too short to write a well-structured, like 3 or 4 paragraph essay. So even though the common application says 250 words is fine, I would definitely aim for higher than that. 650 is the max. Since the application is online, they actually do not let you write even a single word above 650. So just keep that in mind if you're choosing one of these prompts. Like I said, common application essays are kind of a blend of narrative essays telling stories about yourself and structured expository essays too. It can't just be a short story all the way through because then it's not an essay, so to speak. But it can't just be a kind of a boring expository essay as well. It needs to have that poetic or storytelling element to it. The first one is probably the most popular one that people write about. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that's so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete about it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. This is basically the open prompt. It's actually really similar to the identity paper, the Who I Am essay that you wrote for me already. It's basically asking, hey, who are you? What's something that makes you tick? And how and what should we, as your potential college of choice, know about it, basically. And they expect you to talk about how that shaped your life. One thing I will say is that if you choose this one, don't just copy-paste your Who I Am essay in there. You can use a similar idea, but you want to shape that for a college application. Number 2, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? This prompt is really nice because it automatically forces you to take a risk. That is one thing that colleges are looking for in college application essays, is that you take a creative risk to get your reader's attention. Think about how many essays go through colleges, how many application essays colleges have to read on a yearly basis. You can imagine that a lot of them read exactly the same, right? And they read the same because students are trying to be a little too conservative in talking about who they are or talking about their lives. And those admissions counselors and advisors can literally make stacks and stacks and stacks of essays that read exactly the same. By taking a creative risk, you cause yourself to stand out. And this paper, especially this second one, allows you to take that risk by talking about this time about failure. Hey, I failed at this, or I'm not good at this. It's always a risk to say in front of an employer or a school. But then you get to kind of shine as you talk about what you learned from that experience and how you grew. Number 3, reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking and what was the outcome? So if you can remember a time when you stood up for what you believe, or you challenged something maybe you thought you believed, Notice that this basically gives you a structure, right? What prompted your thinking is one paragraph or the start of your essay. What was the outcome is the next part, right? So you can't, they automatically give you a structure to work with in that one. You just have to tell the story. And I would say in your conclusion, that's where you really discuss what you learned or how you grew from that experience. Number 4, describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. It can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance, no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could be taken to identify a solution. This is the perfect prompt if you know what you want to major in college. I know not all of you are fully decided on what you want to do in college, but if you are dead set on being a nurse or a teacher or a lawyer, right, this gives you a chance to really talk about what's inspiring you to go into that field, right? Maybe you want to be a nurse because you've spent some time in your childhood in and out of hospitals, and nurses were kind of your lifeline, right? The problem that you'd like to solve is that there are too many people who are lonely, unloved, uncared for, sitting in hospital beds, and you want to be part of the solution for that, right? Well, this prompt gives you a chance to discuss that, especially if you plan on going to a school with a great nursing program, right? So if you're going to Carroll University, which has a wonderful nursing program, that's where my wife graduated from. It's where Ariana is going on her full ride right now, right? This gives you a chance to really talk about your passion for that and let that shine for colleges that you're applying for. Number 5, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and new understanding of yourself or others. This is really close to what prompt number 1 is. If you're focusing on an accomplishment or something that you've done rather than something that you are. But you can talk about how that accomplishment, event, or realization sparked that period of personal growth for you. A little warning right there. A lot of people in college application essays write about deaths. So losing someone has sparked that period of personal growth. If you are going to go that route, you got to make sure that it stands out from the rest of the pack. A lot of people write about mission trips as well. College advisors complain is a strong term, but college advisors do talk about how they get a lot of papers where someone will say, I went on this mission trip once, and I expected to serve others, but they served me, and I grew as a result, right? Again, if you're going to take that route, you got to make sure that it stands out from the rest of the pack. You got to avoid cliches in college application essays. Number 6, the last common application prompt I'll give you. Describe a topic, idea, or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Why does it captivate you? And what or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? This is the prompt that I think is most different from the rest of them, especially because of this phrase. It makes you lose all track of time. What this prompt is basically asking for is to know your passions more. And it's not just, hey, I'm passionate about this. It's, I'm so passionate about this thing that everything else takes a back seat to it when I'm looking it up, when I'm talking about it, when I'm doing it. I had a student last year talk about how creativity causes her to lose all track of time, and that allowed her to talk about her many, many, many creative talents. She designs T-shirts, she paints, she draws, she writes comics. There's all kinds of things in the realm of creativity she does, and so she was able to talk about how she just loses track of time. Will spend hour after hour after hour indulging in her creativity, right? And that allows her college to know quite a bit about her, right? She can explain why being creative, doing artwork especially, captivates her, and she also talked about the people that she gets to share it with, namely her mother. Now notice, Marquette has a very, very, very short limit. So maybe some of you are intrigued by that short limit where it's like, hey, I only have to write 300 words. That's fine. If you want to write something shorter here, I will warn you that getting a college application under 300 words or at 300 words can be really tricky when you're writing and writing and writing and you realize that you're at 400 and now it's time to cut. This is a special challenge in pre-writing to make sure that you can say your ideas clearly and concisely without going over that limit. They do ask you to tackle one of these questions. First one, if we hosted show and tell during freshman orientation, what object would you choose to represent yourself to your new 2000 classmates? So notice the creativity in this one. They're asking you to select one object. Choose something that is important to you. It could be an object that you own, for instance, something that you treasure, or it could be something that symbolizes you, if you think of it that way. Number 2, think of your current friendships. Which one is most surprising to you and why? So they're not looking for like, hey, who's your best friend? But which of your friendships is the most surprising, maybe the most unexpected, and explain why. I did get a good one of those 2 years ago, I believe. Number 3, Marquette is named after French explorer Jacques Marquette. But exploration takes all forms. Tell us about a time you explored. What did you learn about yourself? Notice this one's really open-ended, just depends on how you define that word, explored. Special note, if you plan to major in physical therapy or athletic training, they say answering one of the above questions is optional. You want to tackle this one instead. Why are you interested in PT and or athletic training as a profession, and what experiences have led you to this interest? So this one's a little more basic, but they really want to know kind of the backstories of everyone interested in physical therapy or athletic training. I think they know that a lot of people in physical therapy or athletic training want to do that because of their experiences with PT or athletic training. So they kind of want to know where everyone's coming from on that one. This one's a scholarship essay for Bryant Stratton. So Bryant Stratton is one of those schools that has sort of different opportunities. They've got more opportunities for online schooling, more opportunities for adults to come back to school. So one way that they tried to bring in high schoolers to be incoming freshmen is through their early acceptance scholarship. So this is a great option if you are just looking for all kinds of options for college and want to see if you can maybe knock some money off of tuition at Bryant Stratton. Bryant Stratton College may award one-time scholarships of $500 to new students who complete the entire enrollment process by a specific timeline. You would need to call them to know what that timeline is this year. I couldn't find it because of COVID. To be eligible, student must blah, blah, blah. You have to meet with an admissions rep, complete your application, be nominated by your high school counselor, so talk to Mr. Janowski or Mrs. Steinke or Mrs. Cobert. And then your essay should address all 3 of these questions. A, why are you interested in Bryant Stratton? 2, why are you the best candidate for this scholarship? So you have to talk about your merit there. And number 3, how do you plan to use your Bryant Stratton College education? Award winners are selected based on highest evaluation scores. They're looking for a well-written essay and the strength of your application besides your essay as well. Notice that they do not give a word limit on this one. I would say 500 words is kind of your goalposts for that. If you go a little bit over or a little bit under, that's fine. The last one's to walk through UW schools. So notice they also have a range, 250 words. I would argue that's too small. Up to 600 maximum for this particular prompt. It says this part is all about you. Tell us about something you've done, academically or personally, and what you've learned from it. So again, an accomplishment of some sort or an event, and what you've learned from it. Was it a success or a challenge? Did it represent a turning point in your life? How did this particular moment influence you, and how will it continue to influence you as you pursue your college education? There's quite a bit going on in there. 2 pointers I would give there. Number 1, focus most on the questions that are most interesting for you. There's a lot that you can focus on in here. And number 2, use these different questions to structure your essay, right? So in your introduction, you can talk about something you've done. In your thesis, talk about what you learned from it. In your first body paragraph, talk about how it was a success or a challenge. And maybe include in this point, did it represent a turning point in your life? You can kind of merge those questions. Next body paragraph, how did it influence you? And then maybe in your conclusion, talk about how it will continue to influence you at a UW school, no matter which one you choose. If you know, it was La Crosse, not Eau Claire. If you know that you want to attend UW La Crosse or UW Madison, feel free to write one of these prompts instead. At La Crosse, they're saying, how will your life experiences, commitments, or characteristics enrich the community at UW La Crosse? Tell us why you're interested in attending the school and what aspects of campus are especially important to you. UW-Madison's is similar. Tell us why you'd like to attend UW-Madison. In addition, please include why you're interested in studying the majors you've selected. If you selected undecided, please describe your areas of possible academic interest. I will warn you, so UW-Madison has a ton of people who apply every year. A ton of applicants is the word I'm looking for. With this essay prompt, it's really easy to go basic and just say, I heard UW-Madison is a great school to study engineering, and I want to be an engineer, so that's that, right? Because there are so many applicants, and this prompt is one of the more basic ones, so to speak, you do have to be really creative and really careful as you're writing this one. Be sure that you take that risk, even though you're just talking about the academic side of things for the most part. Other college prompts. So once again, let's say you want to attend a different school. Maybe none of these other prompts interest you, or maybe you're applying for a school that doesn't use the common application. You are free to let me know of which other school you'd like to write for, along with their prompt question. If you're only applying to schools that are no essay, like the Concordia system, please make sure that you do one of the common application essay prompts for this project. You don't get a free pass from this one just because the school you want to attend does not use an essay. Conversely, you could use this to write for a scholarship essay. And if you need help finding scholarship essay prompts, just let me know. I'll give you a nice list of them that I can find too. Let's see. The rubric. So notice, 100-point essay. This is our first summative assessment of the year, so it has a big impact on your grade. This is also our shortest major essay, and it's also the one that's probably simplest to write grammatically as well, because we haven't covered much grammar-wise. So the things I'm looking for, first of all, structure, introduction, body, conclusion. Whether you do that in 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs, 8 paragraphs, doesn't matter to me. But I do want to see that your essay can have a clear introduction, body, and conclusion. For the most part, you guys have already done that for me in your Who I Am essay. Number 2, does your essay stay focused? Does it directly answer that prompt question? So your thesis is important there. And does it focus on that thesis throughout the entire essay? Number 3, essay contains minimal spelling and usage errors. So far, the only things we really covered are spelling, capitalization, and end marks. So that's the main thing I'm focusing on as I grade this essay. I will mark up other grammatical errors, even the ones we haven't covered yet, but I'm not grading as heavily for those yet. Number 4, essay contains minimal sentence structure errors. We are going to cover run-ons, fragments, and comma splices as we work on this essay. So we do expect to see that your essay is free of run-ons, fragments, and comma splices. Those ones are automatic college application essay killers anyway, so we want to make sure that we're clear of them. Essay reflects well on your character and skills. I know that's a really loose rubric entry right there, but because college application essays have to represent you well, that is one thing I'll be looking for in this essay, and I will be brutally honest if it does not reflect well on you. Something to change before you actually send this off to a college. Number 6, essay takes a creative risk. Once again, take a risk. Don't be basic in this essay. Take a risk, be creative with it, and avoid cliches. Don't go for something that everyone uses in their college application essays. Number 7, our essay follows the writing process. So I want to see you take this from pre-writing this week, through your draft next week, and through editing and publishing once we get back to school. And then number 8, have you formatted your essay according to the prompt? So do you have your MLA heading, your title, 12-point font, double-spaced, 1-inch margins, all those things? I have given you a little area to think through your thesis. That's really up to you as you do that this week. I have no way to grade this necessarily, but note that you will want to have your thesis totally ready for when you start drafting. I have given you a sample outline right here, along with a blank outline. For this particular essay, I'm not grading an outline for you. I'm just looking at your discussion later on in this lesson. But I have given you a sample outline of what I might write, for instance, for the first common application essay prompt that asks about that aspect of your identity or an experience or a background that's important for colleges to know. In this one, I've made an outline if I were to write about my background as the son of 2 small business owners. My parents opened up a small business right as I was entering into high school, and what I saw them do as small business owners and how we lived running or operating a small business really did shape my life. So I wrote about how that's changed me in this particular essay. Here's my thesis. Growing up as the child of two small business owners has instilled two key values in me. The first is the hard work we need in order to survive. My parents busted their butts to run their small business, especially in their first few years. They did use my help and my brother's help as well to keep the business afloat and keep it successful. The second value is the play we need to stay sane. So that's where I kind of took my creative risk, is that, yes, I'm talking about hard work, which is something every college expects to hear, but I'm also talking about the importance of play here, which is new and different and risky in an essay. And then I go through that in the body. So I talked about taking risks and working hard first, but then I talked about play in my third piece of evidence there as well. Especially a story about going to Red Lobster. That's a memory that's always going to stay with me. So I would use that memory to talk about the importance of joy and play, even amidst hard work. And then my conclusion kind of wraps that up as well. Once again, college essays have to be creative, so note my final thought. Like starting a new business, starting college is a difficult task, but I believe it will teach me how to balance the work and play in my own life. So that's where I wrap it all up in a neat little bow. Not just so my college can know that I have these values that are important to have, but also that my writing skills are on point too. That is a well-written final thought. Once again, you've got a blank outline here. If you want to use it, that's up to you whether you want to download this and fill it in to give you some guidance on drafting your essay. The way that I want you to pre-write, or the way that I'm going to require you to pre-write, is through a Schoology discussion. So let's go there real quick. Back to day 6. Essay proposal. Now I know that you guys are hearing me talk a lot today. It's mostly just to set up this this project for you. Note that you do get the rest of this week to do your pre-writing. So today is a lot of listening, and then the rest of the week is more planning and writing. But here we go. The college application essay brings 2 challenges for pre-writing. For one, there's a lot of prompt options to choose from, each with their own word limits. What that means for us as a class is that there isn't a one-size-fits-all outline that's going to work for all of your essays. If you're writing for the common application essay prompt, then yeah, you might be able to use an outline to plan out a 600-word essay. If you're writing for the Marquette essay, an outline probably isn't going to help as much. You might end up with more than 300 words on your outline, right? So you really have to cut things down to write for shorter word limits. So with that, I'm not going to give you guys an outlining assignment. It's too hard to tailor for different essay prompts. The other challenge, though, is that these essays have to be creative and well-structured. They have to reflect you well. So you can't just wing it. You actually have to have a plan about how you're going to attack your essay prompt as well. So we kind of have to handle both of those. We need to pre-write and plan, but an outline necessarily won't work for every single prompt. We have to be careful with that. To handle both of these issues at once, we'll be doing most of our pre-writing here in this discussion thread. And right under the pretty girl, in a well-written paragraph, 6+ sentences, so a little bit longer than a normal journal entry, please. Please briefly explain your plan for the college application essay. So the first thing you'll want to do is identify the prompt you're choosing. So if it's common application essay prompt, say, I'd like to write about common application essay prompt number 4, for instance. If you are choosing a different prompt from the ones provided, so like a different school or a scholarship, you'll want to identify the school or scholarship along with its prompt question. From there, you'll want to explain why you chose that prompt. So why does that prompt stick out to you? How does that connect with your life? And you want to give your basic game plan on how you'll approach it. It's a good idea to include your thesis statement somewhere within this discussion, because that'll help me to give you some feedback on the direction you're taking. This discussion does count as your pre-writing for this essay, so I'm grading it out of 10 points. This first 6 points are for clarity. Just does your pre-writing clearly lay out a plan for that particular prompt? And the other 4 points go to overall grammar. So I'm especially looking for spelling, capitalization, end marks, and sentence structure. Really commas this week rather than sentence structure. As always, you're free to leave constructive comments on each other's work, but you are not required to do so. You have enough writing just on doing the planning there that I'm not going to require you to comment on each other's posts, but you are free to if you just want to get some discussions going. I will also add here that even though this discussion is not totally due until the end of the night this upcoming Friday, I will be grading and commenting on these things on a rolling basis. So if you get yours done today, I'm going to try to get to it tonight, just so you can start drafting early if you like. Just keep that in mind as you're working this week. I'm going to try to grade these and comment on these as they come, just so I don't leave you in the dark on how you can actually start your draft. Next week is dedicated to drafting, along with learning sentence structure. But for now, I want you to focus on your pre-writing. If you need all week to work on your pre-writing, that's fine. That allows me still to comment over the weekend, so you can start drafting next week. Once again, to create yours, I would actually recommend using Microsoft Word. So just open up Office 365, write your paragraph in Word Online, and then copy paste it in. Largely because Schoology does not save discussions as you're working on them. So you'll want to make sure that you can either write this in one fell swoop, or that you're writing it in Office 365 and copy pasting it over.